Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. Yeah, where it's getting very cold. It's been raining. We had a wonderful Easter weekend. And I truly hope you have had a wonderful weekend too. One of the survivors was actually saying to me today that she's felt a shift this Easter. And I'd be interested to know if any of the other survivors have felt that too. I find it quite interesting with this whole Pope dying on Easter Monday, Klaus Schwab stepping down. And I'm not mistaken, it was the birthday of the Queen, the late Queen as well, all on Easter Monday. Very interesting indeed. But I'd be interested to hear what any of the other survivors feel. I personally have felt a shift this Easter. And as I said, I had a conversation. In fact, one mentioned it to me on one of the platforms, and another one actually mentioned it to me when we were having a conversation. So I'd be interested to hear what you guys feel, if there is any change, if you've maybe felt something shift. Arkheim and I were just having a chat a little bit before the show, and he's just getting a whole lot of more information, memories, but he's going to tell you all about it in a few minutes. So I just think everything goes hand in hand. So let's hope, everybody, and let's pray that that is the time right now, that things are starting to shift. Welcome to you, wonderful people in the chat. I really appreciate you. But before we go ahead with Arkheim, I just want to put out a shout out for one of our viewers. This is Make-A-Wish. So we have a viewer who could desperately need, I don't like the word desperately, but could certainly do with our help from the Ara tribe if anyone is able to be of some assistance. So I'm just going to pop her little thing up here. Her name is Amanda Nichols. She's one of the viewers on Ara and has recently kind of reached out to me. The channel has assisted her already in a small way. We would like to find out if there's anyone else who can assist. Her husband recently was injured at a work accident, falling off a building of sorts, where he pretty much injured, broke, fractured both his hips as well as his back, which has put him out of action, as you can well imagine. She has fibromyalgia as well as 3 autoimmune diseases, so it makes it very, very difficult for her to work as well. So if there's anyone who could possibly be of assistance to this amazing little family, who really are amazing people, they're great viewers, great supporters of the channel, and could certainly do with our help right now. And if there is anyone who could assist them, you could definitely send any donations and gifting to my PayPal account. All the details are in the description. You could either just PayPal me, Chantelle Meyburgh at gmail.com. It's my email address, as well as, or you can, again, check in the description and buy us a coffee. And please just put in the, when you make the donation, just put in there that it is for Amanda. And then I will make sure that they receive it. And I just want to say thank you to you guys who support our viewers in this way. It's made a big difference to a lot of people. And I want to just say thank you so much, because it's really important for me that we can do community work, that we can support each other on this journey and just make our lives a little bit easier if we can. So thank you, everybody. I really, really, really appreciate you. And on that note, I shall bring in our star of the show. Ta-da! Arkheim Ra.
Thanks again for having me.
Hey,
How are you doing?
Arkheim, it's so good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. I always enjoy it.
I appreciate the platform.
Always great to have you on the show.
Yeah, today
as I've said to you,
sorry, it seems like there's a little bit of a delay with our. It seems like there's a slight delay with our timing, which is making it a little confusing. So I'll just let you talk now. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to say, as I said in the past, and I think on our last show, this is so important to have. I really enjoy the information you put out there. It so resonates and rings true for me in my soul. Really, really, it does. And this is why we say it's so important. I mean, to hear these absolutely what we deem crazy stories, right? Because some of them absolutely are. And yet, here we have people that have lived this. And for
Yeah,
us, normally,
one thing that's kind of nice, I wouldn't say nice, but for this particular kind of conversation I want to have with you, I would say this is the first time where everything I'm talking about has a lot of evidence backing it up. It's not conjecture. It's not stuff that can't be verified. It's not stuff that I'm just telling you to accept at face value because it happened on another planet somewhere or something like that. This is far different. I have memories of the future which pertain to what is playing out right now. And what's going to happen in the near future is the great AI wars. So we are going to have a world war that's going to come. It's just a matter of because of what we're up against. It's going to be a little bit different than simply bombs dropping, bombs falling, people dying. Everything is going to be done differently. The kind of warfare that we're dealing with now is so far removed from like what we saw in World War II that people don't really understand what it looks like right now. They don't understand what it looks like at all. And what it really comes down to is it starts with surveillance systems, with tracking and monitoring people, and with basically these technologies that are already in existence, which are utilizing artificial intelligence systems to track and monitor people. And as I said, I guess I'll preface it with what I remember, what I experienced, and then I'll lead in with the things that I found in the here and now that are lining up with what I remember. But first, I just want to see if you have or the audience has any questions about what I'm about to talk about.
if there's any questions that you guys have, I don't see any questions in the chat yet.
Okay,
Yeah, I
well,
think
I'll start with what I remember. So the memories come back with emotional moments and can be very fragmented and disjointed. And admittedly, they definitely still are. But I've already done some shows talking about Angwa, a planet which was colonized by Israeli Defense Force at the behest of Netanyahu, who is the same Netanyahu, same Israeli Defense Force. Well, it's their space version, but that is doing all the stuff that's going on right now in Israel and Gaza. So it's the same people. And what I remembered is basically being turned into a cyborg. And these are really, really painful memories. I remember being experimented on. I would say it's not really experiment. It's more just like not treating me like a person. They knew what they were doing. They replaced my skeletal system with some sort of other, I'm guessing like titanium or something, some sort of metal. And they ripped out my eyes and put in a bionic eye and then an infrared eye that could see through walls, and I could see clearly for miles. And I could essentially kill anybody with a rifle in the same way that a sniper rifle could, like a sniper could with the right equipment. I could do that with basically just the artillery that I had on me. They turned me into a killing machine. And I do remember Netanyahu actually telling me, it's super creepy. I remember him telling me, "You are my greatest creation." And those words really haunt me. He said that to
sure
me.
that just gave me chills. Jeez.
Yeah. And I'll tell you about some of the stuff that I remember having to do. It's really hard to talk about. So just give me a second.
Just take your time. Absolutely.
So I can open portals. They utilized this with some sort of cyborg mechanism that made it easier to do with some sort of super soldier. I was a cyborg. I was part robot, part human. And they would send me places just to kill people. And a lot of times it would be during wartime, that battles that are already happening, in different skirmishes that had nothing to do with Israeli Defense Force. And I would basically go in there with a concentrated mission to kill certain people from certain lineages. And I was tasked to basically eliminate certain families from the timeline so that they didn't come to exist in the future as rebels against basically the empire that's being built right now. So essentially, what I'm getting at here is I was Montauked by Israel. That's literally what they did to me. They Montauked me. They turned me into a time soldier for Israel, except it was on a level where I would say it's maybe even worse because I was a cyborg. I had no decision. I literally was just hanging on a wall. They would hang me on a wall with the system that charged me up and stuff like that. And they would do maintenance on me every time I did a battle. They would work on me. And then basically the only time they ever woke me up was to go kill people. Or if there was some sort of event where they wanted to show me off to basically show how powerful they were. And they had an implant in my skeletal system that electrocuted me if I ever disobeyed orders. So there really was no choice. I had to listen to them, no matter what they told me to do, or I would get electrocuted. And, there's also the collateral that they have on you as far as knowing people you care about, knowing who knows who you care about, so they can use that against you too. It's more than just being able to torture you. It's being able to torture the people you care about, take them away from you, things like that. Especially with time travel, they can go back in time and basically make it so that you people that you love don't exist anymore, that they never were born. These are the kind of punishments that they give you in these programs. Like, it's a hell beyond which normal people that don't experience these things can really imagine. Like, yes, I experience pretty wild things that make wild stories, but it comes at a price that isn't worth it. And it's like, but to get back to what they did to me, I remember being sent in, and basically I had infrared vision so I could see through walls, and so I could go places and see where the enemy was before I could shoot through the walls. I had weapons powerful enough where I could just shoot through walls and stuff. So I could kill people before they even knew I was there. And like I said, I am using a bit of conjecture here for my memories to say that it was all time travel, but I sense that a lot of the stuff I remembered, a lot of the big things that I remembered happened in the 2030s. And one of these memories that I have, very few clear memories of what I had to do, super clear ones. And it's taking me a lot of emotional fortitude to talk about this without crying, and I might still cry. So they had a facial recognition thing. And I want to preface this to people. These kids from Harvard, you can look up the video after this if you're interested. They hacked a pair of Ray-Bans to where they could walk around New York City, or no, Harvard's in wherever Harvard is. I think it's in Boston actually or something. I forget where it is. But basically they could walk around and look at people, and through an AI model, it could pull up information on them and then instantly tell them who they are. Not only that, friends they have, where they live, their religious affiliations, things like this. I'm not sure if their AI model went that far, but that's what it gets to. And basically, yeah, I remember that it would show green for I think safe, and then red was enemy combatant kill, and then blue was this person could be of consequence because of their loose affiliations. To keep an eye on them, but don't kill them. And be careful kind of thing. Blue kind of meant caution, whereas red meant literally kill. And it was a little square that would pop up over them. And
Can I just ask you? Can I just ask you about that, if you don't mind? When you say, okay, I want to ask you first a question. The realm, was it Earth realm that you had to unalive these people?
So I do remember stuff from, like I said earlier, Angua. And I remember somehow breaking free from IDF and fighting back against what they're doing. I don't remember how I did it, but it's a whole wild thing that I could write a whole book about, or something like a whole life I lived, or multiple lives. But I remember at a certain point, I remember fighting alongside the Ongwins against IDF. I do not remember how that happened, but I know it happened because I remember very well. I even remember that when I died, bugs, like intelligent insectoids, held a funeral for me. And they like tied me to a metal grating that was attached to a balloon and set me on fire and they sent me because they're trying to send me back to the stars. It's like, yeah, these are not monsters. They look like monsters. That's what they're gonna tell people when they come public about all this information. They're gonna say they're just monsters. They're just, we're just gonna colonize their planet. It's the future of humanity depends on it. Yeah. No, it's all propaganda. It's all bullshit. They're not the enemy. That's one of the big things I want to say. But I want to also say that a lot of this stuff seemed like it was on Earth. It's very hard to tell. It could be on breakaway planets. But I can tell you that one of the most clear memory I have, which I was approaching, was I had already killed all these people. I was in some city. It was rubble everywhere. Looked like how Gaza looks right now. I unalive people. Sorry, I'll start using better verbiage. And basically, I came up to this little girl who was on the ground, and she could have been no older than 8 years old, maybe 6 or 7. And I'm walking up to her, and she looks scared. And she holds up a flower. Because, like, I don't speak, she's speaking in Spanish. Like, I don't think even if I do speak it, like, I'm not talking back to her. And I think she's assuming I can't understand her. Because, like, I don't think the soldiers that she was used to seeing that were fighting against her people understood her, probably. So she assumed I didn't understand her. So she was holding up this flower. And to her, it was very clear to me. To her, that was, I am not an enemy. I'm not, like, a threat. I don't have any weapons. Like, please don't kill me. I have a flower. And I remember the computer telling me that she was an enemy combatant and that I had to kill her. I had to unalive her, sorry. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, this is a little girl. Like, how can this person be a threat to me or anyone? And I guess maybe time travel, whatever, but I do remember her name. Because it said it on the computer. And it basically said she was going to be part of the rebel army, or she was connected to the rebel army, some sort of rebel army. And her name was Maria A. Vasaharo. That was her name. Vasseg or Vassegaro. And where she was, it seemed like some sort of Latin American country here on Earth. It could potentially be a breakaway, to be perfectly clear, because these memories are kind of like video memories where I can't go into every little detail. All I can go into is those moments that I remember, right? And I wasn't really thinking much about what planet I was on or whatever. I was thinking about the immediate situation, right? And but yeah, I do believe that at least some of this stuff was occurring on Earth. And there isn't a Vasaharo family. That's what makes me think. Like, I looked it up on the internet immediately after I got the memory back, and there's no Vasaharo name. Like, you can look up pretty much any family name, and it will pop up, and it will tell you who they are, where their family name. You can get genealogy tests. All this information is pretty detailed at this point, and there was no, and that's what makes me think I was taking out entire lineages, and it could have something to do with people like me who can develop the ability to open portals naturally are like extremely dangerous, and so if they can't figure out which one or when it's going to happen or how it develops or whatever, they'll just go all the way back in time and just take out the whole family before the person that is a threat to them can even be born. So, like, that's, I think, what they're doing is they're editing history right now. And
Right.
what I want to get at when I was telling people I can verify all this stuff that it's real. So now I looked into a company, and can I show you? I remembered I have a video. It's very short, but I'll explain it. The first thing I remembered was my targeting systems were developed with a company called Netradyne, and this is what I can show you what it looked like inside my brain. Sort of. This is a pretty good approximation of it. This is an advertisement for This is basically literally an advertisement for what they do. And I just want to show people, like, those little squares and stuff would pop up in my brain. They took off the top of my head and like operated on my brain and put like microchips in my brains and stuff in order for this technology to be able to interface with my brain. And I was aware of some of it. I was awake for some of the stuff they're doing to me. It was extremely painful. Like, these people are war criminals, and it's transparently obvious. I want to make that clear. Like, it's already transparently obvious. But anyway, this is what I want to oh, here's the file here that shows their technology does. So yeah, that technology was put into my brain. That what you see there, those little squares that pop up and stuff, they would pop up by people, and basically the computer would tell me like what maybe military organization they might be affiliated with. Literally their religious beliefs, like it would be able to tell you stuff about them that it felt relevant to whether or not they were a threat. So it'd give you information that everybody you come in contact with, and people need to understand that this technology already exists, and it was already people who are mainstream. This is where my testimony starts meeting reality, and I'm very grateful for that, because I don't sound like I'm full of shit anymore at this point. I don't think so, because like there's so much proof here. Like, mainstream people are saying how dangerous this technology is and what it can be used for. Netradyne isn't really what they're talking about right now as much, and that technology that I saw, yes, it would literally tell me how far away something is. If something was coming at me at a certain trajectory, it would tell me how long it was going to take for it to get to me. All this stuff. And it was hooked up to my brain where it would tell me all this stuff instantly. It made me like this, like I was a killing machine that was basically unstoppable. I mean, I remember getting shot at by people and still just charging forward, and people were just like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, it was crazy.
I mean, can I ask you, I mean, did you look normal? What is your body looking like?
People would have probably seen, I was probably wearing, like, the memories aren't super clear, but I'm pretty sure I was wearing a mask. Mask and stuff like that. And like basically a super soldier suit, which keeps your body temperature regulated. And they're called smart suits, basically. They work with your body to make you more powerful and they have a certain kind of armor to them and stuff like that too, to keep you safe. It takes really heavy duty artillery to be able to, or at least like lasers and stuff like that, to be able to get through it. So yeah, and the thing is the other company that I'm talking about, so there's 3 companies that work on this from what I recall. It's Palantir, which we're going to get into, Neuralink, which I think has to do with basically hooking this technology up to my brain, and then Palantir. So Palantir, Neuralink, and Netradyne. So it was a joint effort between these different companies to create this technology and put it into me. And Palantir is, I have a little advertisement for them real quick too. It's literally 30 seconds long. This is from their website. Do you mind if I show you that real quick? Wait, no, hold
Absolutely.
on. I just got to find the video real quick. Palantir. This is like a whole long... Sorry, I had, this is the wrong video.
Oh, good. Take your time.
Oh no. Yeah. Let me hold on a second here. Okay. All right. Show and Finder or show and Finder. Hold on. Oh man.
Wow.
It should be there. Well, basically, man, these guys are pretty open about what they do. That's what's really wild about it. The future of warfare. Okay, that's why I'm looking for. Okay, I'm looking for like the wrong thing. It's the future of warfare. That's the video. I'll find it now. I just forgot what it was called and was looking for the. Here it is. All right.
Wow.
So
It's
yeah,
like a video game. It looks like a video game.
they're
Seriously.
well, their whole thing is, we're protecting America and we're very apologetic about it. But what's wild to me about this company is there's a video right now that's on this channel. I think it's more Perfect Union is the channel. It's the new deep state, Palantir or something like that. And I watched a video on it, and what's wild to me is the reality of now current events is lining up with what I remember, because the very first people that they've really been working with is openly anyway is because they basically come out and saying that they might have, these are the people that found bin Laden apparently. Like they got asked about it and they're like, oh, we're not allowed to answer that question. So what does that mean? Yes, right. So this technology is not really even new. But fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
Oh, good.
But Palantir, they're oh yeah, they're already working with Israel. That's what I was gonna say. It's like I remember the stuff about Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Force and working for them and being a super soldier, cyborg, killing machine for them. And then I look into it and they're openly working with Israel. Them working with our military, our military wants to be secret about it, wants to be coy about it, because it's part of the power of it, really. And it's also they're doing a lot of illegal things too, I think, with this technology. But in Israel, I think Israel is a testing ground to see how far they can push this technology, how far they can push public perception of like literal genocide, like how much they can make people complicit and complacent, and like how much they can get away with. Like, can we get away with war crimes right in front of people and just like use basically the internet and technology and stuff like that to sway public opinion to the point where they believe that we didn't do anything wrong or something like that. And I know it's a complicated issue because people always bring up like the other side. I don't want to get into that. All I want to get into is the fact that I remember these guys turned me into a literal cyborg, and that's a war crime. And it lines up to what they're already doing. It lines up with what they're killing children. They're unaliving people. They're unaliving children. They've been targeting hospitals. They've been doing all these atrocious things, and that's the MO. I remember it from Angwa. I remember how one of the first things they targeted was their food. I mean, they're ruthless. They literally do everything they can to take out the enemy. The enemy is a scourge to them. Is like like one of the most dangerous things that can happen in warfare is when you forget that the other side has like a humanity to it. That's where things get bad. And unfortunately, it's usually that side that wins, right? Because they're more ruthless. And that's what I witnessed with basically like Angwa. Like I remember the turning point of the war, which I did not see the end of because I died in some crazy battle, but I can only imagine that the locals lost, is really the turning point where they started losing was when they poisoned their water aquifers. Because it's a desert planet, so all the water comes from these aquifers under the ground, mostly. There are some rivers and stuff, but they're very dependent on that. And they poisoned it, all of it. Like they intentionally like poisoned it, like so they couldn't drink it because they can bring in water from asteroids and things like that, and then eventually purify it over hundreds of years or whatever. The water on the planet, they can make it fine again. So they literally cut them off from being able to drink water so that they all died in order to take their planet. That's what these people do. And apparently, like, it's weird because, like, yes, time travel. So some of this, even though it's in the future, it's already happened. Like the Vasaharo family doesn't exist. So that little girl, I think that was in the future when I did that. But since her family doesn't exist, that means that it already happened. See, time travel's freaky, right? It's confusing. Like,
Right.
even though that had already happened in the future, I am witnessing. Well, we must have went back to before her and stuff too, or something. I don't know, but like that family doesn't exist. Like that's not a last name anymore. It's a Mandela effect, right? Like that
Right.
I did, that I like I was there. I remember it. Like so, I'm confirming to all these people like, oh, is it time travel programs that cause Mandela effects? 100% yes, unequivocally true, because I remember it. You know, I remember. And a lot of times it's funny because it's just, you know, really minor things like the Fruit of the Loom logo and stuff like that. And all that is just for some reason the events lined up slightly differently when they're in that room deciding the logo or whatever, and it just changed. It's really innocuous, but that's what happened. Another one, Pinky and the Brain cartoon when I watched when I was a kid. They used to say like it changed. I can't remember the phrase, but there's a phrase for that changed. And I've noticed that a lot of the stuff that changes, which is kind of weird, it's connected to like Steven Spielberg. I've noticed a lot of it, Steven Spielberg movies, things like that, which I, I sort of think like Steven Spielberg. Do you know about the fact that he's like Illuminati and stuff like that in the rituals
Yeah,
he
yeah.
participated in?
Yeah, we've spoken about him before on this channel quite a while ago. But yeah, he's
Yeah, and I think
definitely been named.
yeah, I think all of his movies sort of prime humanity, the dumbed down public, to be able to understand certain concepts that were very much so foreign to us. Wouldn't you agree, right, that 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people didn't really talk about aliens or UFOs or time travel or a lot of these concepts, and it's been books, science fiction, books, and movies and things like that have gotten all these things into the public perception. And I think that like certain people have been like tasked with helping people being able to understand this stuff. And for me, like since people are kind of able to understand these concepts, like I don't think like I know that I, like I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to prevent the Vasahara lineage from being wiped out. I don't know if I can, through my actions now as a whistleblower, make that not happen. But at the same time, can I? Like, is that why I'm here? I don't know. And I feel like all I can do is be like, okay, well, this technology has not reached this point really yet. Like, I'm pretty sure they probably are using cyborgs in warfare here on Earth, maybe even in Israel and stuff like that. I might have even been there. I don't remember everything. But like what I'm getting at is like it hasn't come to the point where it's totally out in the open and we just accept it yet, and it's just a fact of reality, and there's nothing you can do about
Right.
it. And people who are not afraid don't hide things. Like if they weren't afraid of what we could do about what they're doing, they wouldn't try to hide it so much. So I think we can do
Exactly.
something about it, and I think that's why I'm here.
I actually want to say, and I agree with Celtic Natia, and I wanted to bring up that point because, you know, my opinion is God is always in control, and I believe that. I love your cat, and I think that perhaps, I mean, even if you did unalive her, and if she was meant to be at this time, she would have been reborn in a different body. That's my opinion. You know, I think that these guys can only control the narrative to a point. And once they've reached that point of trying to control everything, they can only break. Evil has no way of existing into eternity. It's for a short space in time.
Yeah,
And
I feel like with me being public and what I'm saying right now, and the fact that we have an audience here taking me seriously, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to make the rounds as much as I can. I can only imagine that must infuriate these people who did this to me. Like, for instance, particularly Netanyahu, because I don't think he wants me to remember this. All the stuff that I did for him in their military, and they're already kind of losing the information war that they're trying to fight, because a lot of it is an information war, and it's pretty blatant that they're doing some pretty nasty things. And even some of the truth about the links between them and Satanism, the IDF and stuff like that, it's coming out. Like, there's this woman named who is the daughter of the Minister of Land. I can't remember her name. I recently did a video on it on my channel, a short one, but she basically came forward and said that her mom was this Minister of Land for the land development for Israel. She said that they did ritual abuse of her when she was a child. She's like coming out publicly about it. Wow. And yeah, so, and this is a high brass military person, and this just keeps on happening all over the place. It's not just Israel, it's like high up government people all over the world are being exposed for that.
Absolutely.
Because it's a part of the religion, right? It is. It's ritual. And it was, yeah. She's very, you can tell she's just a confused, hurt person, but she wanted to make it clear in the video, and it was almost kind of like a side note, but it was, she felt also it was important to mention. She's like, when they did, because it happened when she was a kid, it was an event that she remembered, and she was like, it seemed like a ritual. It seemed like it was part of a ritual. And so, yeah, so like, I know, I'm just gonna say it now. I'm Ra. I mean, I am Ra from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the god Ra. Like, I know that sounds insane. Maybe I'm a fracture of him because he was fractured, so I'm not like the whole thing or whatever. I don't know, but I am him. And I know that the reason why they kidnap me for their programs is because they want to steal my power from me, because I am the sun god. I have sun energy, creator energy. And what are suns? Suns are portals. Like every sun has a portal. So that's why I'm able to open portals, is because I'm a sun being. So it's like, this is why they kidnap me. This is why they use me. It's because I have this power. And with that being said, I also, if you look into the history of Ra, I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sorry for them. I was naive, and humanity is not a toy. Humanity is not something to just play with. You're all people. You're all gods in your own right. And there was a time where, in all my might and power, I thought that equated to wisdom, and it did not equate to wisdom. And, you know, I'll publicly state that I'm really sorry for what happened, because if you look at the hieroglyphics and what happened, we tried to destroy all of our people, the people of Ra. We felt them to be a threat, and we tried to destroy them all. And then we recanted what we did and basically said sorry and tried to make amends with them, because we did realize it was a mistake in the middle of doing it. Unfortunately, the truth that is kind of sad of that is a lot of it is because just humanity was such powerful warriors. If humanity wasn't such powerful warriors, we might have been successful. That's the sad truth. But yeah, I think that's why I get involved in a lot of this stuff and why I'm using these programs. I mean, you might be familiar with Project Ibis. There's lots of people have come out about Project Ibis, and essentially that is a big super soldier program that I was used in, and here I am. Well, what God could I possibly be? It's like sometimes the truth is so obvious and blatantly right in front of you that you can't even look at it. And that's sort of the story of me realizing I'm Ra. It's like, I feel very detached from it. Like, I feel super like I remember that history. I remember the mistake of saying we need to kill everybody and then recanting it. I remembered that before I went into my history books here on Earth and learned about the history of ancient Egypt. And then it was wild because the hieroglyphics were literally lined up with what I remember. The fact that we saw humanity as a threat, because, I mean, humanity is dangerous. Let's be real. Humanity is a dangerous species, but there are children. This is what we realize. You can't just like create a child and be like, oh, my child's misbehaving, let's just kill the child. That was kind of the conclusion we reached. We're like, well, how dare us? How dare I? And I know it was a group decision. Everyone thinks it was just Ra, just me. I remember there was a council of Ra. I remember it's a lot more complicated than that. I remember even the initial vote, was close, and it was 7-6 or something like that. I think it was 7-6, and a lot of the people, even initially, were like, "We can't just kill all the humans. It's a terrible idea." But 7-6, so it was what they tried at first. Sorry, that's a little off subject of what I wanted to talk about today, but
No, nothing's off subject here.
yeah, I've been dealing with that a lot lately, remembering that and the pain of it and feeling bad. And like, these guys, like I remember these guys that programmed me are like these men in black guys. I remember when they were programming me and kind of it takes torturing and stuff. They really got off on it. They're like, "We know what you fucking are, you monster, you monster." And I always wondered, like, what the fuck did I ever do to these guys where they call me a monster? Like, why am I a monster? Just because I can open portals and stuff? And now I know why. It's because at one point I was like, oh, let's just genocide all of humanity. That's a great idea. Let's do that. And he knew that. So he thought I'm like an enemy, like the enemy. And I mean, what can I say? He's right. I was really like, I'd be pissed too if I knew that and I was a human, like a purebred human, like not a starseed. You know what I mean? Like they're humans that their whole existence, they're fresher souls and their whole existence they've been on Earth. They're not starseeds. And those native borns, native souls, they really hate us. Like they really do. They hate us. And they don't look at it as a taking our power. They don't look at it that way. They look at it as keeping humanity safe from us. That's literally how they look at it. They think they're keeping humanity safe from us, some of these people, when they do what they do. I wouldn't say the Satanists are doing that because they obviously worship chaos and don't really care about humanity. But there are certain groups that do,
Wow. I have a question here in the meantime. Just how did you deprogram yourself from that?
From what specifically?
I guess the programming, the microchips in your head to get you to the point that you are today, where you can be sharing this, and you've obviously overcome your programming, right? Or you've deprogrammed your programming that it's no longer having that.
I think it has something to do with my alters in the programs fighting against the system from the inside of it. I think that's a lot of it. Like, for instance, my alter Jacob, he's hundreds of years old, maybe even thousands of years old at this point, and I'm fairly certain he's still alive somewhere out there right now. And
what does Jacob do? I mean, if you say you have an alter called Jacob, who is he and what does he do?
Right now, as far as I understand, he works for the German military and he has a starship and he protects a certain region of space that is heavily occupied by the German Federation of Planets. And he works for them, and not to be confused with the Nazis. I think it's not them; it's different. That's a whole confusing world. Like I would love to do a whole show on that with Penny Bradley or something at some point, because the history of Germany is really interesting, and then the Germans in space, a lot of people assume they're Nazis, but which there are Nazi planets, Nazi worlds. There's a planet that, like, I'm pretty sure I've heard from other people. I don't remember, but I've heard there's a planet that like Hitler's like the president of and stuff. Don't quote me on that. But in the German Federation of Worlds, meaning this goes back to the German royalty. This is ancient. This isn't like a brand new thing, right? Like they viewed Hitler as a guy who got drunk on power and betrayed the American people, or not the American people, the German people. They view him as a traitor. So it's really important for me to say that, the Germans in space. There's even some like independent worlds that are German that aren't really that aren't actually technically part of the German Federation of Worlds. Like the German people are out there in abundance. Like German culture in space, like one of the big things that they did after World War II is they're just like, well, Earth is just one place. They've been fighting wars back and forth with different peoples for a long time, and they just were like, let's just go out in space where we don't have to worry about having like enemies. It sounds crazy, but if you think about it, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah, we could keep fighting for our territory on Earth and fighting all these wars, and which I know what happened in World War II was like wrong. What they did was wrong, obviously, but like, you know, it came to a point where they were humiliated, and yeah, I just think it was better for the Empire to just forget about Earth and just move on. Kind of, it makes sense if you think about it, because they really were, like, even the German people felt ashamed of what Hitler did after what, like, World War II. They felt ashamed of what he did, the off-world Germans and stuff like that, and that what they felt. I would say, even though they're very powerful people and they have a lot of things, especially like, you know, that they should be proud of or whatever, they were humiliated. You know what I mean? They were humiliated after that, and that's what gave Hitler their eyes the power to begin with after World War One, is they were humiliated. They were humiliated in World War One, and they saw, you know, Hitler as the antidote to that humiliation. So that's a big part of their story, is just like getting humiliated over and over again and just still trying to maintain being a proud people. And that's where that militant nationalism always comes from. And it doesn't necessarily, like, they can have their German nationalism and have it be a perfectly fine thing. It's just, you know, it went to that really nasty place that one time. You know what I mean? And that's not good. But
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. It's a very
I would
touchy
like to.
subject, obviously.
I would like to know from your opinion, um, why the fascination with Earth? I mean, and humanity. We've heard a lot of stories about, you know, our consciousness and our illusion, that sort of thing. Um, what is your opinion on that? What is the fascination with?
Humanity was created here on Earth, so that's a big thing. So I'll actually explain this. Humanity was created here on Earth, so that means that every road we've got. Oh, the German Federation of Worlds has over 10,000 planets, and then you got, you know, like, an English empire out there, Italian one, a Polish one, all these Russian one, all these different, basically, federations that stem back to Earth, and they got tens of thousands of planets and stuff. So that means that every single decision that we make here on Earth, especially like far back in time before things happen, ripples to these thousands of worlds. And not only that, the planet has always had natural gateways on it, and natural portals and things like that that have been used for certain things for millennia, that have been compromised by the Dark Ones. So, like, that's another aspect to our story. And yeah, it's just, you know, like when they say all roads lead back to Rome when it comes to, like, you know, Europe or whatever. Well, that's the microcosm of the macrocosm, where all roads lead back to Earth, because everything began here on Earth. Humanity
Right.
began here on Earth. So, of course, our politics and what happens here, our culture, everything influences them. Even if they're disconnected from our planet, like a big story on the breakaways, this Earth got blown up by a cold blood bomb and it doesn't exist anymore because it's our ancient home. So naturally, a lot of people would feel a longing to go there, if they knew it still existed, and they don't want that. They want people to stay on the planet, make their planet great or whatever. So they usually, like, a lot of times, they lie to people and tell people that Earth doesn't exist anymore. There are exceptions to that. There are planets where they let people just know the truth of everything that's going on, and obviously there's always going to be lies. That's just politics, but things are more or less out in the open in some places. It depends on where you are. But the reason why Earth is so important is literally because humanity was created here, and the reason why we wanted to kill all the humans. This is going to sound really cold, and I'm sorry, but I think even human beings will understand this. Like, yeah, after all the history we have behind us now under our belts as humans, you know, I think humans might be able to understand my decision making a little bit better, even though it was faulted and wrong in the wrong decision. I want to be clear on that. Um, you guys are like cockroaches, and I'm sorry, I mean, like, it's really nasty to say, but hear me out. Cockroaches, they breed like crazy. They can survive in, like, really harsh environments. You try to squash them, they, like, under your boot, like, you lift your boot up and it didn't do shit. They're scurrying away. They're just so tough. and they breed like crazy. And once you have them, they're really, really, really hard to get rid of. And that's us. We're going around the galaxy. All right, like for instance, like Occupy Mars. People are like, Elon Musk is going to take us to the stars. It's going to be great, blah, 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 blah. I take great offense to that because I know what Occupy Mars looks like. There's already people there, okay? Not just humans that have existed there for thousands of years, but bug people. There's sentient flies, there's sentient raptors, there's sentient ant people that have spiders. And we went there and we just tried to take their space. They called it the Black Plague. When the Germans showed up to Mars, we came after the Americans. We tried to get real. We had some real estate there for a while too. But basically, they called it the Black Plague because we showed up and just started killing everybody, bombing nests, trying to take their territory. And it's because we felt like we had to in order for our survival or whatever. And they would tell us on Mars, like bugs are an enemy. Like bugs, like basically they try to make it sound like they do what we do. Like they just go to planets that they don't belong to and just take them over, and they breed like crazy, and they're super dangerous, and they want to keep spreading and keep spreading. That's what they told us in Mars Defense Force. Like they said when it comes to bugs, it's either squash or be squashed. They told you to not talk to them. Like it was against the rules of combat to talk to them because a lot of us were telepathic. So even though they're bugs, we could talk to them. And I'll give you some examples of the things they would say to me in battle when they would communicate with me. They would say things like, "This is our planet. We've been here for millions of years. What are you doing here? Why did you even come here? Why don't you just go back to the world you came from? Like, why are you trying to kill us all? This is our planet. This is our home." Like, that's more or less every single fucking time that they were able to talk to me. Like I remember a big ant being on top of me with its pincers on me. And it was like, why are you doing this to us? Why? Like they thought we were psychotic. These bugs and stuff like that. No, that's a lie. They don't just go to other planets. They're happy where they're at. Their lives are pretty simple. Like, and we just showed up out of nowhere and fucked everything up for them. And this has happened on thousands of worlds across the galaxies. Human beings just show up. Oh, nice planet. It's ours now. And they kill the local inhabitants, terraform it so humans can live there with no thoughts to the consequences of what happens to the local population or the biosphere there or the history of the planet or anything like that. Like, we don't care. And human beings were already down that path when we were like, oh, we got to kill them all. And it was wrong. Humans are already there. It's a mistake we made. It's Pandora's box. We opened it. What we need to have happen is humans just learn to just they can, like, that's another thing is like we can go live on other planets and stuff like that. Like a lot of times the local inhabitants, it's a lot of times like the Native Americans, like you hear the stories of like we would like sign treaties with them, be like, hey, can we have this land here? And they didn't have that concept. And they're like, okay, I guess. And they would make a joke, like a Native American joke. So you want us to throw a cloud in there too? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because the concept does not
we
make
belong
sense.
to the land. Yeah.
Like it didn't make sense to them. And that's we're very territorial, very defensive to the point where we're offensive creatures. And I would argue that this whole idea of when it comes to bugs and squash or be squashed, that was self-projection. And it's colonial, like it's like colonialism, like in the worst sense. And I do believe though we can go to other planets, and like I said, like if we just live in symbiosis with the planet and just want to live there and have us villages or even cities and stuff like that and do our own thing and enjoy it without impeding on the local populations, like a lot of times they're going to be fine with that. They're not, in fact, they're going to be really interested in us and our culture and want to learn from us. And the cross pollination, it can be a fine thing. But like when you just show up and you're just like, no, like we're not happy with just having this city. We want more. We want a country. We want this. We want that. and you're willing to just take it from the local inhabitants who it rightfully belongs to, it's their birthright, like that's not right. Like, and that's what I'm here to speak out against, is that's what these military corporations are doing. They're saying it's in the name of protecting humanity and keeping humanity safe and making sure that we don't go extinct. They have to lie to you to keep that going, because once you find out we have thousands of planets already, well, how are we going to go extinct if we already live on all these different worlds all throughout time and space? It's like not possible. Like, we're not going extinct anytime soon. Like, there's so many of us. Like, we're all over the place. And so that's really what it is like, that's kind of how all the whole story there, really, that's like my whole testimony. All those, we back to Earth. What we do here is important. It's important that we learn these lessons now. A lot of times we can learn these lessons before we even get there. Like, have you seen the movie Mickey 17 yet? It just came out. So it's okay if you
No.
didn't. I forgive you. I don't, and it's not like people need to pay attention to like what movies come out either. That's not really that important. But I watched it and it was great because it was like a civil rights movie before the questions being answered in the movie even existed. And I won't give away spoilers to the point where it's not watching the movie, but there'll be a few to warn people. But basically, Mickey is a guy who signs himself up to be, he wants to go to space, but he's super poor. He has all this debt. He actually has the opposite of wealth. He has debt. And really the only way to escape that is to become, which he doesn't understand what he's signing himself up for. They call them expendables. So basically, they have 3D printers where they can reprint your body and you can die over and over again. And they, because you have that capability, they'll use that to, I don't know if they're going to terraform a world, right? They'll put you on the surface before anyone else. You're probably going to die from breathing the air. Then they measure your blood and stuff like that. This is all real stuff that actually they do. And they show it in the movie, all this real stuff they actually do when they colonize worlds and stuff like that. And basically what the movie shows is like, these guys need to have rights. Like, you know what I mean? You like the technology and ability to do that is it just basically just kind of shows like that technology needs to have laws around it. That's basically the whole movie is just trying to show people like it's a very interesting movie. It's got a good lesson behind it, and it's crazy to me because as somebody who has been 3D printed out and used over and over again, kind of like a lab rat in many occasions, it felt really comforting to know. Mickey 17 is what the movie's called. It's nice to know that there's already a message out there in the collective consciousness of humanity through this movie saying this technology is wrong and we shouldn't use it in that way. Like, it's really cool. Like, yeah, we're already answering these questions before it becomes actually disclosed, and we kind of already the public consciousnesses are to like, yeah, that's wrong, right? So that gives me hope for the future. And I don't know, like, yeah, like that's why I guess like what we do here, what we do now is really important. It can get confusing because with a lot of these colonies, like for instance with the Germans, they went back in time to go to colonize Mars. So they went back to like I can't I don't want to say the exact time, but I just know they went back in time to the point where like when we showed up there for the first time and got to Mars, we were like, what? There's Germans that have been here for hundreds of years? How does that make any sense? Like, but time travel, right? So that's another thing that's really wild about this is these planets that will colonize or show up to will show up and the locals will be like, whoa, there's a human city all of a sudden. That's really interesting. Let's go check it out and talk to them and make peace with their government. And then next thing you know, through time travel, it's the whole continent. And they just kind of just take over. You know what I mean? Like, it happens with time travel so fast. And that's why I knew. Because, like, not only did I create these beings that were kind of like children, didn't really know the power of this technology and how dangerous it is, it was on a planet full of stargates and stuff like that, and time travel portals and things like that. That's why we were like, and I left, and it even says this in the hieroglyphics. I left, and I came back, and I was like, what? There's ascended master humans? Because like before I left, humans were kind of like, they called themselves the cattle of Ra. They thought they were like animals. Like they didn't have comprehension of like these basic things that sort of give you sentience and self-awareness. And I came back and they had all those things. And to me, and this is wrong, this is a very egotistical, shitty judgment call that I made, but to our people and myself, it was totally fine to have human slaves when they were servants. Because they just like, oh, they want to be slaves. Like they're serving us. They do it happily because they get to go to the promised land when they die and stuff. Like, that's wrong. But we felt, oh, if they're servants, it's cool, right? And what's messed up is when we came back and they were aware that they were like our slaves, basically. A lot of them were still more or less like okay with it because they saw us as these really wise beings that gave them the life and stuff. But some of them were like skeptical of like, well, why can't we be powerful god beings? And they were right. And that scared us. So we came back, we're like, that happened way too fast. And that's a big part of the story. That's why we were like, oh, we got to get rid of them all. They're too dangerous. They got time travel. They're doing this, they're doing that. Like, no way.
So we have as human beings, we have the ability to evolve our consciousness. Is that what you're saying? That the humans have that ability and quite
and just
independently so.
self-awareness, just the ability to understand. Like for us, like, yeah, like they very quickly understood very arcane concepts that are very deep, while at the same time, I would argue not naively, either not understanding or understanding things with a naivety about it that's kind of dangerous. A lot of other things. And another thing too is like with this technology, monkey see, monkey do, right? We were using this technology for like our own pleasure, and you really should never do that with such intense esoteric technology like time travel stuff. You should only use it when it's absolutely necessary, and we're kind of using it for our own pleasure. And so, of course, when they got their hands on it, they're like, hey, well, why not just use it for and just do cool stuff? But it can be extremely dangerous, right? Like if you go back in time or forward in time just to mess around and have fun, it can have severe consequences. You know what I'm saying? So like we just realized like, oh man, we made a mistake. Humans didn't make the mistake. My people and the Anunnaki, because there are different bloodlines of humans that have all belonged to different human ET, and that's what the tribes were. I think it was the 13 tribes or whatever. They belonged to different ET, and yeah, they were created like to serve the ET as slaves basically, but they became self-aware and sentient so fast, and it's just so much of the story. Honestly, I'm leaving so much out though. It would take like an hours long story with help from other people that also have memories and scholars and things like that, like historians, to really get down to the nitty gritty of the full story of the ET gods that came down here in humanity and where we're at now. But the truth is that like I'm out here just to let people know that like time travel is real. It's a dangerous technology. It's being used for warfare. Cloning is real. It's a dangerous technology. It's being used for warfare. Cyborgs are real. They're making cyborgs. They're using them in warfare. Um, Wars throughout history that we've had. I'm talking about like the Vietnam War, World War II. There are battles where ET openly fought. We're being lied to about our history. There were ET fighting on the surface of Earth. There were and there's little remnants of history you can find, little corners of history you can find that at least suggest it. There have been battles where they threw cyborgs in there or giants. Like there have been battles like where giants have been unleashed to fight in the battle and like squash tanks and stuff like that. Like these like just what a lot of like basically what my entire testimony can kind of boil down to is all this esoteric technology, all this really groovy stuff that could be used to benefit mankind and do wonderful things. It's being used for warfare, and that's why it's being kept secret. Everything and anything they come up with is mimicking something around long before they got here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just reinventing the wheel, or even just taking the wheel that was already there and just using the same old wheel again. Yeah, that's what I hear. The Battle of Los Angeles was a battle with UFOs. Yes. In fact, I believe that someday I might get recall of that. I have recall of the fact that there's a portal at near LAX airport, and I remember the Hillary Clinton timeline. And I remember that we got bombed by a neutrino bomb in this timeline. And I remember working for it was Montauk or something like that. It was time soldier stuff, but we had to go to one of the port. We basically had to secure the Los Angeles portals. It's called the City of Angels for a reason. There's tons of portals there. There's tons of wild things going on there. And
okay, you need to explain what wild means. I mean, I know that
there's portals. That's like one of the biggest things. Like, for instance, I can tell you in Malibu, there's a portal to Venus, and it's at the city center, the city hall. You can get into the portal room through the city hall building, and that place is like heavy duty, like MK Ultra, like mind control. Like I went there because I remembered the portal, and I drove there when I was visiting California, and I drove right to where it is. And something that's really interesting about it too is right across the street from the portal, there's the 88 something diner, and the 88's in huge letters, and 88 means Heil Hitler. It's a dog whistle for Heil Hitler. And I do believe that like a lot of this stuff is like, because you know about the whole thing with when the UFOs showed up over the White House, that was actually German UFOs, and we signed a treaty with them. And so like, yeah, to say we won the war is a bit of a misnomer. We signed a treaty with them where we had to give them certain concessions and they had to give us certain concessions, but it was more us giving the concessions. And their biggest concession that they gave was that they left and let us, but like, we got tax money going towards the German Empire. We got resources going towards the German Empire. We don't even realize it. Like, and I think one of the things that they did is if you look at a lot of these really big corporations, they have German guys at the top of them, at the very top of them, because one of the deals that they made is a lot of the big corporate conglomerates that the heads have to be connected to the German Empire. So it's like what we're told like is it's a way more complicated story than what it actually is. Like a lot of it involves Germans going to space and us making concessions and things like that. But there are little, like to me, like that diner across the street is a little reminder from them, like that, like, hey, we own you, motherfuckers. Like
wow.
we are the ones who gave you the treaty that you signed. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we have a treaty with them and stuff like that, but like sometimes when you sign a treaty, very rarely is it because they both just want peace. Usually it's because one of the sides is under duress and they have to sign the treaty. Like the treaty that Germany signed in World War I, right? Like they had to sign it. They had no other choice. And this is one of those situations. This is China.
I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, it's believable. It's just uncanny, you know. Yeah, we think the human beings as poor little humans, we're under attack. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we've been as violent, I guess is the word, destructive.
Yeah. You know, another thing too is like, I would argue that a lot of it comes from us emulating the Draco, the reptilians. I think that at the core of a lot of these religions, because okay, like what I remember from my still pretty hazy memories, but they're also some of them are fairly clear, is that adrenochrome and blood, just in general, and sacrificing and stuff like that is at the center of like the Illuminati religion or whatever, the satanic religion. Like it's at the center of it all, and that that's connected to like the chrome as well, the blood drug,
Yeah.
can I say it like yeah, it's connected to that. That's a huge part of the religion, and I think it didn't the last show that we did was on the music industry or explained that they gave me a synthetic and sometimes it can be the real thing, but they give you adrenochrome and they just tell you like, oh, it's this drug, chrome. And if you don't know what it is, you're just assuming it's like any other drug. had some extract from a plant or some shit, you know what I mean, or whatever, that they boil down, and it gets you fucked up. Like, sorry for using such crass language, but that's what you assume, right? And then no, you find out later on it's coming from like the blood of people and stuff, and like there's this whole darkness behind it that's just, and you're addicted to it at that point. And I think that's a big part of their how they turn people. Because I know, like, at my core, like, I think I'm a good person, even if I've made mistakes, really, really, really bad ones, like saying we should kill all humanity. It's because I cared about the galaxy and I thought they're going to cause harm to other people.
Absolutely.
But like, yeah, and I think it takes coaxing and mind control to turn me. And not just that, I want to put the message there, because I know there are other people who watch these videos, and there are people on the programs with memories too. They do this to everybody. They use all these different methods to mind control you. And if you got memories of being kind of a nasty person like I do, it's important to sit with that and deal with it. But also it's important to remember that, like, it really wasn't you. It takes so much manipulation for them to make, including when it comes down to drugs, torture, taking people away from you or whatever, or they'll lie to you about certain social situations that you're in. It's all sorts of weird stuff that they use to control you in these programs. And yeah, it just gives me like hope. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, it seems like we're so screwed. But when you look at the amount of manipulation that they have to do in order to get people to go along with their stuff, and all it takes is kind of opening the window and be like, hey, look at this, look at that, look at how they're manipulating everybody. Isn't it obvious? Like, I feel like that's a pretty powerful tool. Like, so much of what they do depends on people not understanding it, not understanding where it comes from, what, and our true story. Like, it's kind of funny, but like, you can learn a lot from. This is gonna sound like off topic, but for me, it has been. I've been watching like animes lately, like, which I've been noticing, like, two of them that I watched recently. Big O is one, and then another one is I'm still watching it. It's called Attack on Titan. And Attack on Titan is about using giants in warfare, which is real, and how this planet gets really messed up by that, because it just gets taken to this like extreme, and it just like, it's a great show. And then Big O too, it shows like the same like a similar concept where the people don't remember who they are or where they come from. Like in both these animes, which is weird. It's just a coincidence that I watched them in a row. And so I think that's a big part of what, like, it feels so familiar when I watch them, is what I'm trying to get at. Because like, we kind of don't remember our history or where we come from. Like, we know, like, these resets, the floods, all that stuff, right? Our history was stolen from us in a way. And there's a huge power behind that, stealing that. Just as if we can reclaim our history, there's a huge power in that. And as a time soldier, I'm pretty sure that that's a big part of what I'm here to do, is to get people to not only like to remember the future so that we don't get there, but also the past. And so that we can see these things. And so that, like, yeah, because we're dealing with a mass amnesia of the whole planet, a mass amnesia. And if we can tackle that and get people to understand the true nature of reality and our existence and where we really come from, that's a huge tool in the toolbox against fighting against people. And it's just so interesting though with these animes, because like for Big O, it shows the domes, and it shows how the people there, like, it's a colony, like, and it's a breakaway colony, and it's the same thing with Attack on Titan. It's a breakaway colony, like, they don't even remember how they got there. They don't remember how they got there. And like, what's even crazier about it to me is I've noticed that both of those shows, they have one person that works in the team in the credits that rolls, where their job is like making sure the buildings look right and the culture and all that stuff is right. Like, where does that come from? Like, in my opinion, like, these people that, like, if look into it, watch the anime, if people want to watch into it, there really is for Attack on Titan and Big O. Both of those shows have a person where their job was specifically how the buildings look, how the culture was, to make sure it's accurate. What? You and I know exactly what that is, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's literally in the credits. But since people are so clueless, they don't think they just assume, oh, they just help make everything look cool and have a cohesive thing going on. Which that's a good argument that people would say I'm kind of grasping at straws here, but like I don't think that's what it is. Like I think they're actually trying to show people what certain things are actually like, or like because it's just a lot of this stuff is just so familiar. You know, there's another one, Trigun, where these people are on the way to a utopian planet in what they call a seed, and they're gonna crash on this utopian like tropical paradise, but something happens and they have to crash on a desert planet, and then it's just kind of like really hard to get. It ends up not being a paradise because water's scarce and all these things, and it's just so wild to me how like all these shows, like especially anime, which Japan is huge in the breakaways, so it makes sense, is showing all these concepts out in the open. Akira, that's another one, like that movie Akira, like that shows like real stuff. Like
which show is that?
Akira is a classic anime movie from the 80s that was way ahead of its time. Like the animation is absolutely gorgeous and so detailed. Like it's still to this day considered an amazing achievement in animation that is kind of like unsurpassed. But the storyline of it has to do with like this psychic, like they're starting to use super like psychic warfare, and like people like there's this guy with like this huge head that like has like psychic powers and stuff like that, and there's so many of them where it's showing people real concepts. Like anime is such a huge one I've noticed recently. Like sure, American science fiction movies definitely a good example, but the anime, it's like and it's really interesting how they're able to also, because of the fact that it's drawn, I feel like they're very easily able to build these worlds and show them really accurately because they don't have to pay to make robots and have an amazing expansive budget in order to make it all appear real. It's a cartoon, so they can just kind of portray it more easily, and I think that's another big reason why that's such a vehicle that they use for it. But I think moving forward with all the stuff that I'm talking about, my whole thing is we just need to move forward responsibly with respecting all life. Like when I was Ra and I made that decision to do that to humanity, I don't think it was my decision. I think it was a lot of people's decision. But when we made that decision, sorry, I feel like Christianity is a program that the system. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll just I'll go up. I accidentally popped that down. Sorry. I'll give it now. Just find it again. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'd like your take on that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, the end times are supposed to be a prediction, and one thing that I really like, and I'll give credit where it's due here, is like Tyler Koala from Journey to Truth. Like I don't agree with everything they say on the show and stuff. I don't agree with everything he says, but he talks about how they're like, it's almost like they're trying to make us imagine an apocalyptic future, like because they use manifestation, predictive programming, and he's like, if that could be, that isn't that not the biggest example of predictive programming you could ever think of? Revelations in the Bible, like it's supposed to be true, and there's supposed to be nothing we can do about it or whatever. And I think that's a good point. And like his whole thing, like what he says, and I agree with it, is like, don't give them that power. Don't imagine a good future. Like don't imagine a apocalyptic future. Imagine a good future. Don't use your energy in that.
Exactly, because energy goes where attention, or energy flows where attention goes. And hey, energy is my game, right? I understand it very, very well. And there's one thing I understand. It's like when we're looking at this predictive movies, like they do in The Simpsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those of us who've watched Jessie Zabotar's show, she talks about how the kids in the system, and she, as we know, was with Elon, Lucian Greaves, one of the Rothschilds. I can't remember the name now. I think Nate maybe, and a couple of those guys, and they would be put into these programs. Star Wars now, Looking Glass Project, and The Voice of God are the ones she's mentioned. And the kids are obviously they tested for their spiritual gifts, etc. And they are then given they tasked to give probable outcomes for these events. So my opinion on that is, for example, you will see in maybe 2009 on The Simpsons that in 2020 the Queen died. And it's there. We've seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So immediately, as humans, how many millions of people watching The Simpsons, right? So as humans, we all just think 2020, the Queen dies. The energy that flows to that intention or that thought is exactly what powers it or fuels it. So, and the same thing, I mean, another thing that I saw a lot was Trump being president. You know, we saw that a lot on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things on The Simpsons that we saw that have manifested.
Yeah, the biggest
So,
one, definitely the biggest one is him coming down that escalator. They literally show it. It's crazy, right? Like, and you know, of course, Lisa's supposed to like represent Hillary Clinton, I think, kind of, you know. But like, yeah, that is the most wild one for sure. Because I mean, if you see the picture, it's literally the same picture, and to me, that's because in a broad sense, this is an echo of a timeline that already happened, and that's how they're able to see all that stuff and predict it. Yeah, and you know, and it is predictive programming and stuff like that. But I've talked before about how there's different timelines that coexist side by side, and they can merge back into each other and stuff like that. And yeah, I think there's sort of these people that like are behind the Simpsons and stuff like that they're playing around with all that. And you know, I've talked about it too. Like in the original reality that I come from, this is a heavy duty altered version. Amanda Bynes was a vaudeville entertainer from the 20s. The best example I could think of someone kind of like her would be like Lucy from I Love Lucy. But basically, she was this kind of woman who she smoked cigarettes. That wasn't okay yet. She made it okay for other women to do. She was wild. She was loose. She was funny. She was crass. But men loved her. So she made it okay for other women to kind of be like that. And she was just a legend of a comedian on a whole nother level that paved the way for female comedians. And in this reality, obviously, Amanda Bynes is a child star that had her own show on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. Well, these guys are Satanists, you know, and they're being exposed for all the stuff that they did with all these documentaries and things that are coming out about Dan Schneider and stuff like that. And they have this Nickelodeon has this the reward that they give every year. It's a Zeppelin, okay? It's a airship. And the reason why they do that is a lot of the child stars and stuff that they use are people who from like Drake Bell. He's another guy who in the original timeline he was like a musician, like a famous musician. And like now in this timeline he's a Drake Bell, we all know, and he's a musician, but he's not like he was super duper famous in the other timeline. He's just people only like him in Latin America early in this timeline for whatever reason. But like with that award that's the Zeppelin, they're showing people, no, we know who these people are. And yes, we did take them and we know who they are. And like, they're behind it. And it's like a show of power. Think about it. Like, cause in their reality, the Zeppelins are a thing. You know, there's a ship, an airship that started on fire. Not the Nuremberg. There's an airship fire where an airship exploded. I gotta look it up. Airship explosion. Not Hindenburg. Yeah, I couldn't remember it. The Hindenburg explosion didn't happen in that wasn't Montauk mission. And basically what it did is it opened way for the airline industry, which limits travel, limits human freedom, limits movement. Think about going through an airport, right? We did that all on purpose. Obviously 9/11 and stuff like that was a part of it too. But that was all because like human freedom of movement, like that's a huge target for them. Like they're trying to limit the human freedom of movement on Earth and make it districted. Like they really want that, but it's really, really hard for them to do because every freaking human being on the Earth loves the Earth, wants to explore, wants to see other stuff. They don't want to just stay in a tiny little spot their whole lives. Nobody wants that. So it's really hard for them to like convince people of that and make that happen. But like that's what they're trying to do.
Wow.
I keep on getting like I'm in the middle of what I'm talking and then I forget what I'm talking about. It keeps on happening to me. I don't know if they're like pointing a ray gun at me or something, like a thought gun or something at me. I'll be like in the middle of talking and then all of a sudden I'll just be like, what am I talking about? I think it's a targeting thing though, for real. Sometimes when it happens, it's super weird.
I think I have no doubt, and especially now when your memories, are starting to surface. But listen, I need to kind of unfortunately cut our show a little bit shorter this evening. I've got my son here, and he's leaving tomorrow, and we are doing dinner and all sorts of things. So I've just had a knock on my door, demanding I go and join them.
Okay. So we will be doing that other little conversation afterwards another time, probably.
Yeah. No. I'll chat to you now after the show, definitely.
Okay.
But I know I kind of feel like I've left tonight's show hanging. So I'd love to take this further because there are so many questions, that I have in my head. And there's a lot here in the show as well that I want to maybe grab for us for our next show as well. And what I'd like to maybe ask you to do at some point is join us for a membership show where we can have Q&A, because there are so many questions for someone like yourself, and it's very difficult to get them all answered in the same show. So I'd love to, and hopefully.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. I really like your audience, and
they're fantastic. We have a great audience, and I have to tell you all, I think I met my future daughter-in-law.
Oh, that's good. Congratulations.
My son brought his girlfriend home. I just knew, and she's an absolute delight. I'm absolutely thrilled. As every mother knows, there's nothing better than having your child happy. That's for sure.
Oh, so of course.
Yeah. So they're leaving tomorrow morning early. I'll be taking them to the airport. But I definitely we're gonna get back, guys, with Arkheim and another show on this. So we're gonna call this a continuation. There's lots of questions, and I apologize. I feel actually really bad leaving everyone hanging in the middle of the show because it's really amazing.
We can always do a part 2, right? So it's
yeah. I think that's a great idea. And I'd love, as I said, to have you on for a membership show where we do a Q&A with you, and then our viewers can come in and ask their questions and have them answered in a really great way where we're not rushed for time. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, Arkheim, well then I'll chat to you a little bit later. We'll make a few arrangements. And I want to say thank you to everybody for joining. Yeah, cliffhanger alert, you're right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning for you guys all there. It's always amazing. I love these conversations. And, it's like when you talk, Arkheim, it's like, it's not even strange to me, the stuff you're saying. I mean, it's, it kind of opens up the cells in my body, right? Or my brain cells. But it's like the information, the knowledge has always been there. And now it's just opened up to it. And we're just receiving it in real time. And I love that. It's so amazing to be getting this stuff. I know I was born for this time because as a kid, I used to think about this stuff all the time. I wondered and wondered and wondered. I used to look up and my poor little child body is so happy that finally we're getting answers for all these things. So thank you, Arkheim, very, very much. I appreciate that. And guys, I appreciate you very much as well. Arkheim, before we end off, is there anything you want to just say? Where can guys get hold of you? Are you doing any shows this week? I know we've popped up your website and stuff. If one of the mods can maybe just pop up Arkheim's website again, please. I'd appreciate that. So anything from you, Arkheim?
Yeah, I've got a book on Amazon. It's called Time and Space Unlimited by Arkheim Ra. I'm going to be writing another book soon. Uh, I haven't even started, but I feel it's time. And it's going to have to do with AI entirely and the Sound of Silence timeline. And I don't know, like that's really it. I've got a YouTube channel, Disclosure Now. Um, I haven't done that much on there lately, but there's videos on there. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Akim. We really do appreciate you. Really, really do. I know it's not easy to talk about this stuff, and especially not publicly, especially when you're getting the memories up.
Yeah, and the
We
last thing I want to say too is please, people, actually, that like, this is important for me to say. Please look into Netradyne, Palantir. Please look, like this is all verifiable. Like it's transparently obvious that these technologies are invasive, that they are anti-freedom, and that they're dangerous. It doesn't take a time traveler to tell you that. Like it's transparently clear. You don't like so. Please educate yourselves and others on how dangerous these technologies are, so that we don't have to go down the dark path of dystopia, like Orwellian, like surveillance. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do that. It's up to us. So yeah, that's basically my message. This is kind of why I wanted to share this. This information is important. So let's treat the development of AI and the technologies that are used by it with care moving forward. That's
right.
Not that we gotta just live in fear and not use them at all. It's just you also need to be careful though. So
Yeah,
that's my
I
message.
agree. Discernment, balance, and let's never forget that nature is the best medicine. Food is your medicine.
Oh yeah, Happy Earth Day. I'm gonna go out to nature today, for sure. And yeah, Happy Earth Day, everybody.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful, nature is so healing. Keep your vibe high, be happy, take care of the ones you love, and enjoy them taking care of you guys as well. We all deserve that. And yeah, and then I'm going to see you guys. Today's Tuesday, Akim. Tomorrow, Wednesday, membership. I'm starting the little thing with Credo Mutwa, African symbolism. So every week for the next 2 weeks, Credo Mutwa brought out 12 African symbols. And just understanding the symbols of goodwill. So I'd love to share some of our beautiful Africanisms with you guys. I know Africa definitely has my heart, absolutely 100%. And I know there's a lot of crap spoken about our continent all over. And I think a lot of misunderstanding, about what happens here as well. And yes, we have a lot of dodgy ones on these continents, but we have incredibly beautiful people and have had incredibly beautiful people. And I'd love to share that with you guys. So join me tomorrow at, I think it's 4:00 my time or 3, I don't know, one of the two, it's on there. And I will share some of Credo Mutwe's symbols of goodwill with you guys. And again, just on leaving, I'll make a wish. If anyone is able to support Amanda Nichols and her husband, he, just for those who missed it in the beginning, he had an accident, injured both his hips and his back, completely unable to work. She has fibromyalgia and 3 autoimmune diseases. So it's very difficult for them to earn at the moment. And if any of our guests would be willing, able to support this amazing couple who are really going through a rough time right now, and show some love, I'd very much appreciate that. And I know they would too. So thank you, everybody. God bless you all. And I will see you very, very, very soon tomorrow. Mwah. Take care and no, don't be good. Don't be good. Don't be good. Bye. Bye, Akim.